Hello, crafty friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm sharing a very clean and simple card design that only uses a stamp and some gorgeous inks. I did add a touch of dimension to this one, but this is also perfect if you're looking to create a true single layer card. And the best part, it's super easy to replicate, making it great for mass production. And of course, I couldn't resist adding a little sparkle to finish it off. The stamp I'm working with today is called the Birthday Blitz Stamp Set, which comes in the new September card kit from Simon's Stamp. I do have an unboxing video where I show more details about this kit and all the products that are included in the kit. Now, this stamp set includes some really fun little images. We have a sun, a cloud, pretty little flowers, heart accents, and even a striped path that you can use as a hill or transform into maybe a water stream. The sentiment fonts in this set are just gorgeous, very clean and simple, and perfect for creating your birthday cards. I started by placing a 4 by 5 1/4 inch panel, which is slightly smaller than your standard A2 size card base, onto my Altenew stamp wheel. The sticky mat on the stamp wheel holds the panel perfectly in place, making it easy to do multiple layers of stamping. For this card, we will be creating a little scene with that sun, cloud, hill, and some flowers. Each of these elements will be stamped separately using beautiful shades of inks from the Positively Saturated Ink collection by Simon's Stamp. Well, I kept the design very clean and simple with no shading or any fancy stamping techniques, making it a great beginner friendly design, and it uses just single shades of colors. I chose to stamp everything onto the panel so I could pop it up on my card base, but if you prefer a true one layer card, you can stamp this directly onto your card base instead. Well, I began by stamping the sun. Now, since it was my first time using these stamps, I made sure to condition them first. You can simply rub your fingers over the stamp, or like I prefer, use a microfiber cloth with a bit of stamp cleaner to remove that extra stickiness, especially on the solid stamps like the center of the sun and the cloud. Now, for the sun rays, I used sherbet ink, which is a gorgeous shade of orange. I kept things very clean and simple here by sticking just to one shade of orange. Of course, if you wanted to add more depth and dimension, you could bring in additional shades of oranges. But since this is meant to be a very beginner friendly design, you really don't need more than just basic sets of ink from your stash. You could also get creative and go abstract. Don't feel limited to using just traditional colors for the sun or clouds. Try different color combinations to give your scene a unique twist. I stamped each element only once without any double stamping. That way, the images have a little texture and a slight imperfection, which I think gives the card a more organic look. After finishing the rays of the sun, I stamped the sun's center with citrine yellow. Now, for my clouds, I placed them in odd numbers around the sun for a more balanced look. The first cloud was stamped right next to the sun using twilight ink, which is a soft and subtle blue shade. I then cleaned the stamp and shifted it to the right and stamped it again slightly lower this time so that both these clouds overlapped. The second cloud hangs off the edge of the panel, which works perfectly. For the third cloud, I stamped it on top of the sun, overlapping the rays of the sun. Finally, I added a little smiley face that comes in the set to the yellow center of the sun. Stamping the smiley with VersaFine Onyx Black ink, it was the perfect finishing touch to bring that sun to life. With the sky elements in place, it was time to move on to the hill. The hill stamp was a little too long to fit inside my stamp wheel, so I switched over to my Sizzix stencil and stamp tool. It has an ultra sticky backing that keeps the panel secure while stamping larger images like this abstract hill design along the bottom. For the hill, I used the shade Perfection, which is a beautiful green that I reach out for often when stamping or ink blending leaves, stems, or anything nature inspired. Normally, if I wanted to add depth, I'd paired this Perfection ink with pine for a two-tone effect, but this time I kept it simple and went with just one shade of that green. Now, there was a small gap in the lower right hand corner, so I realigned the stamp and stamped it again with the same ink to continue the hillside seamlessly across the panel. You could certainly leave it as is, but I felt like adding that extra layer of green in that gap gave the hillside a more continuous flow. Another fun option would be to stamp one of those little hearts from the set to fill the space instead. Next, once I was done with the hill, I added three little flowers from the set using watermelon shade, which is a gorgeous pink. For these, I did double stamp to make them pop more against that green background. Please note for all the other images that I've stamped here, it was just single stamping. Even the hills, it was just for these flowers that I used double stamping. This scene isn't your typical freehand artistic landscape scene. It's made up of clean geometric shapes for the sun, clouds, and hills. And honestly, I feel that's the beauty of the stamp set. It creates a simple graphic look that feels fresh and modern. Once the colorful scene was complete, I stamped my sentiment, which reads love to you on your birthday," which comes from that stamp set. It fits perfectly in the open space of the design. To make sure it was aligned just right, I used my grid transparency sheet because at this stage I really didn't want to have any kind of misalignments. I loved how the scene turned out and I didn't want to cover it with a sentiment strip if something went off center. I'm really loving the clean and simple look of this card front. With just single stamping and those bright, cheerful colors, it feels so fresh. You could definitely stamp this design directly onto your card base for a true one layer card, but since I wanted to pop it up, I trimmed the panel down to 4 by 5 and quarter inches, which is slightly smaller than your standard A2 size card base. I added foam tape to the back for dimension, and instead of mounting it on a plain white card base, I chose a light gray card base instead. This adds just the right touch of contrast and frames the colorful scene beautifully. Well, of course, even a clean and simple card deserves a little sparkle. Normally, I'd reach out for my glitter brush pen to add shimmer to the sun and the clouds, but this time I decided to keep them plain and instead added some shine to the flower centers. I used the metallic tones Positively Dazzling Gems by Simon's Stamp and placed them on all three flowers for that perfect finishing touch. Now, before wrapping up, I also wanted to share this handy funnel tray with cap from Cat Scrappiness. It's such a lifesaver for working with small embellishments. You can easily sort them and then pour everything back into the container without spilling the gems all over your desk and floor. Well, that's our card for today. I'm so happy with how the colors turned out. They're bright, cheerful, and really make the design pop. I love how clean and simple it feels, and the best part is that this layout works perfectly as a single layer card. It's easy to replicate, which means it's ideal if you want to mass produce birthday cards or just create a bunch to have on hand. I'd love to hear from you. Would you try this design as a one layer card or add that little extra dimension like I did? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Now, all the supplies that I used to create this card will be listed down in the description box below. Please note that all these links are affiliate links, which means that if you shop using one of my links, I'll get a small commission at no cost to you guys. Thank you again for joining me today. Until next time, stay safe.